for your sprint, for your teamwork, I have instructions. And so this is kind of the final push to get everything done. So any modifications that you made to your user stories, you will have to put in your project notebook. You should have your completed test document. Each team member needs user documentation, and you will need technical documentation on the app, and that would be just one for the entire team. And then each team member needs a sprint4 reflection as well. So the deliverable here is your app is completed. Okay, and then you've got the video presentation done and you've done the live presentation. So as a team, you're going to do technical documentation that would allow a new team member to install a working development environment, connect to the data, and develop their own front end. So typical things that are in technical documentation would be endpoints and routes, testing methods, architecture and frameworks used, and the deployment architecture and environment. And so we aren't actually deploying this, but we are using MS SQL, and that should be mentioned. We're using Entity Framework. That should be mentioned. If you're doing Razor pages, that needs to be mentioned, just to give somebody a heads up that if they wanted to, do their own front end, how would they do that? Okay. Then you all need to do the video presentation and the live presentation. Individually, you need to make sure that your front end works and that you've implemented all the user stories. Anything that does not work should be removed. And you need user documentation. And so the user documentation is typically, how do you use the app? Okay, so if I bring up your summary page or your index page, what do I need to do? Okay, so you're going to walk them through how to use your app, basically. And, pictures and that kind of thing are definitely a good idea. So these rubrics kind of go through how the team portion is going to be graded and how the individual portion is going to be graded. Okay, and then just kind of the normal other team stuff, your sprint link and your GitHub link also need to be turned in. So everything is going to basically be turned in the team Dropbox. So you do not need to submit anything to the individual front end Dropbox, but this is where I will put your individual score. And for those of you that want to know more about user documentation or technical documentation, I did include some resources here for you. What is typically included in user documentation, or how to build the best user documentation. You should definitely review those before you go ahead and do your own user documentation.